our industry and what we're up against every single day. So, my name is Dave Jones, and I am the founder and owner and CEO of Hammond IT Services. I am also the CEO of Hammond Cable. Both the companies work hand in hand with each other in the industry, both with telecommunications industry. For those that are in the U.S., your Cox, your Spectrums, your Comcasts, all the above. Overseas, not too sure who you have over there for a internet service provider or who your local cable company is, but we would be that liaison for what you would have over there. We would work in conjunction with them if we were overseas. Currently, we're not, but that could come here soon. To give an idea, and I also, before I go any further with that thought, two things I get to promise you this evening, two very important things. One, you'll learn more than what you learned and knew more. You'll understand more, have a better understanding before you got here. You'll have so much more information whenever you leave, and that's a good thing. Number two, no PowerPoint. I am staunchly against them. And I have been that way for a very long time. I feel like if I'm up on stage and I'm addressing a crowd that way, it just gives more of a punch whenever you're up there, because now I can push all of that energy out to the stage, from the stage out to the audience, instead of everybody paying attention to the PowerPoint behind me. So that's why I don't use those. So let's go ahead and let's jump in. There was a time whenever we were robbed with somebody in front of us trying to get money out of our wallet, trying to get money out of our purse, trying to maybe pull a firearm on us or a knife on us. Wouldn't it be nice to have those days back? Because unfortunately nowadays, the cyber criminal, you'll never see them. You'll never know them. You'll never know a name. You'll never have an opportunity to meet one, and you will definitely never have an opportunity to catch one. That is for sure, because they definitely hide their tracks. Now, in case you thought that having a big, huge, long password whenever you first boot up your computer and you type that password in, that big, long, huge thing, and then you pressed enter to be able to get to your desktop on your computer. If you think that they're going in through that door, think again. They are not. As a matter of fact, that's kind of too easy for them. They'd rather have at least a little bit of a challenge. I mean, they're lazy, don't get me wrong, but at least a little bit of a challenge. So they go in through the back door. And that is why that whenever I have people that will put those long, huge passwords in, I feel bad for them, because that's a lot to have to remember. A lot of times it really is. And that's not where they're going. Now, I have a question here for everybody, and maybe you could raise your hand and kind of give me an idea. Who on here is a solopreneur or a business owner with employees, or just person that's at home and stays at home and does your own thing? How many do we have here that are business owners first? Okay, business owner, solopreneur, or do you have employees? Employees. Okay, good. All right. Now this is where I can I can really help out the employees. But don't forget, I can also help out the people that are either solopreneurs or just regular people at home, because it still translates all over. The employees, well, you go home, you're at home, you're employee, you're working from home, you need to pay attention either way. So moving on to this, did you know that there has been an uptick in email ransomware attacks for the little guy, the small business owner, and then the big guy? Both. And if you think that the bad guys really only target large enterprise, not so much. They really don't. They're going for the little guy now, because they're finding out that there's a gold mine in the little guy, a lot of a gold mine. Now, here's the worst part about that. When we shifted and migrated to have to work from home, and all the employees had to work from home, do everything at home, we're still actually trying to bounce back from that. The uptick has now gone up. It used to only be 98% of malware attacks or ransomware attacks happen through email by somebody not paying attention, clicking on that email. And once they did that, game over. Absolute game over. And pretty much you've lost everything. Is there a way to get it back? If you're a large corporation and want to spend the money, sure, possibly, maybe, not guaranteed. If you're a small little guy, good luck with that. You might as well just call it a day and say everything's lost and I have to start from scratch. That was at 98%. Now that we have a lot of people that are working from home, working remotely, jobs all over the place for remote working here, remote working there, work from the beach. Hey, you get paid. Now that uptick has gone up to 99.9998%. We're 0.2% off from being 100, all because working from home, not paying attention, because there's a lot more distractions at home than what there is at the office. And normally I would be at the office right now, but I'm at home tonight because it's, well, 8 o'clock Eastern time in Cleveland, Ohio. So needless to say, I'm at home right now in my home office. Now, with that being said, those of you who know what ransomware is or don't, basically, it's the bad guys coming in, putting a password on your stuff and saying, okay, you want your stuff back? Sure, no problem. Maybe. Give me money. You get your stuff back. Maybe. I have also seen extortion on that to where that the person's paid the money, then they ask for the stuff back, and then the bad guy said, not enough, give me more. Well, I already paid you that. How bad do you want it back? Give me more. Fine, here's more. Now you get your stuff back. A lot of extortion going on out there right now. Here is a big one, and this goes nationwide and worldwide right now. We all know the conflict in the news and what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Unfortunately, their hackers have now really stepped up their process to be able to help certain states to get around certain things that may or may not have been put on them to stop them from doing certain things. That means they're going into any computer, any network, anywhere worldwide to be able to get around those issues that have been posed on them. And it doesn't matter which computer that they use to get into, as long as they can get away around it. So that means that they come over to the US and they just happen to go through your computer because it's one step away from the bank. So you're just, maybe one hop away from the bank on the cyber side, then they'll use you to get there. And they don't care that they just destroyed your equipment. That means absolutely nothing to them. That fancy term that they're using, that they now call that, which just came out 3 days ago, is called spring, as in spring cleaning, or welcome to Ohio, spring weather. The number 4, shell, like they're shelling everything and throwing it all in the garbage. And they're using that specific program in order to be able to infiltrate systems all over, which is kind of sad. So the moral of the story here is make sure that you're paying attention to your email, both your work and, by the way, your personal. It works both ways. Don't click on anything that has an attachment to it that you're not familiar with. I remember several years ago, I want to say almost 7 now, I had a client that they were a travel agent, and they had purchased tickets from Carnival Cruise Line for their clients because they're a travel agent. Well, lo and behold, nobody in Carnival knew that their complete entire network had been hacked. So whenever that travel agent purchased those tickets for their client, their system automatically ended up getting hacked completely and they lost everything. So it's still prevalent today as it was back then 7 years ago, as it was today, as it will be in the future. So please pay attention to what you're clicking on. Do not click on any attachments that you are not familiar with. And if it looks too good to be true, I promise you, it is. That's just the world we have to live in nowadays. Number two, well, actually, I should say number three and number four. I'm going to read off some things to you guys. So in 2021, the cost for ransomware worldwide, which means everybody, this is people, businesses who paid to be able to get their stuff. You had 20 billion with a B that was paid out in 21 just for ransomware costs. Remember, I went and I hacked you. I said, give me money. I gave them money. I get my stuff back. Maybe. And I do say maybe. That number is expected to rise by 2031 to $265 billion. So if you don't think that they're not going to ramp it up, they certainly will. Now, here's the kicker. All right. Most of the victims that paid out to the bad guys, okay, 32% that paid the ransomware, only 65% of their data came back to them. So it's better to be proactive than reactive. And the worst part about it is, right now, currently, and this is as of, we're the 11th, this was yesterday that came out, 57% of businesses that are successful, only 57 of them are successful with their data backup. And I tell you the reason why. If you have one of those portable hard drives that you have plugged into your computer, or on the network, if you have the cloud, which a lot of people do now, nowadays, and that's fine. Make sure those passwords are very long, whatever you do, very, very long, because they're itching to hit the cloud. They are definitely itching to, if you're using Google Drive, make that password very long. Definitely make that password very long. If you're using OneDrive from Microsoft, make that password very long. If you are using a portable hard drive, here's an easy one for you. After you're done backing up your data, unplug it. Because if it's not plugged in, they can't hit something that ain't plugged in. And if it is, if your computer is hacked, then what I always advise, if you are using a portable hard drive, to first of all, take it to a IT specialist near you, have them clean out your system completely, then you can plug in your portable hard drive because it won't get infected. If you do that beforehand, yes, it will get infected, just as bad as your computer is now. So don't do that. Make sure you go to a local person first, or your IT department, whatever the case may be, have them clean that system out, and then go ahead and do your backup files. Now, in closing, because I didn't want to tarry too long this evening, but in closing, if you've wondered what an average paycheck for a beginner, just a green hacker is, currently that is a little over $900,000 a year. That's what they're starting off at. Big, 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 big business in cybersecurity, big business in hacking, and that's why they can start them up so high. There is something that I was asked previously in other talks I have done. So how do the hackers learn? How do these rookies really learn to become hackers? And I said, that's easy. Have you ever filled out one of those Facebook things that's got, what was your first movie? Who was the first person you dated in high school? All the way down the page. Don't answer those, because I promise you, they will figure out something about you. They will figure out a password from that, and they will be able to get into your system. So do not fill those out. Every time I see one of those being filled out, well, I mean, granted, I'm never on Facebook anyways, but it just amazes me. I have to laugh. It's like, okay, why don't you just give them the keys to the kingdom? Because that's exactly what you're doing. Don't do that. So in closing, I certainly hope that you've learned more today than what you did whenever you first came in. I hope that I have given you an opportunity and to be able to learn and some takeaways to be able to go home now or whenever you go back to work tomorrow, to be able to remember, oh, maybe I should do this or maybe I should do that in order to combat and stay safe. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David, and already learned a lot. So what questions do we have for David, folks? I'm sure there's got to be some.
Give me dry mouth.
I keep hearing about Anonymous and what they're doing to get into government and all kinds of computer systems. What do you know about that?
The most dangerous hacking group on the planet. They do not play around. They do not play games, and all they are out for is blood, and they will tear you apart, watch you bleed out. They will cut you, watch you bleed out, and then laugh in your face because you've lost everything, because they honestly just don't care. They do not care. They will exploit you. They will take every single thing out of your bank account. They are ruthless, and I mean ruthless. Do not tangle with them. Luckily, you won't have to, because they're after government stuff. They're not after us, but don't tempt them. So once again, don't answer those questions on Facebook. Watch what you're doing with your email. Make sure your antivirus is up to date too, by the way. Okay. And by the way, free ain't free. So if you're using a free antivirus program, stop. Nowadays, I am sorry, but you have to pay for antivirus. You really do. There is no better way to combat the issues that are at hand except for a paid for version. The free versions, they're not even worth putting on the computer because they don't stop anything. They literally don't stop anything.
What are some good ones?
Trend Micro, number 1, WebRoot, number 2. Those are the 2 best I've found, and I happen to use both at my office. So we do run both. We have some clients that want Trend Micro, some clients that want WebRoot. We don't care. As long as you pick one of those 2, we're fine with it. The 2 that we will remove immediately if we take on that client, number 1, if I see McAfee on your computer, that will be removed immediately without haste. Post haste, that will be gone in a heartbeat. That's out, and I mean out. Norton is the next one. That will also be taken off the computer immediately before I even put any kind of software or anything on there, because 10 years ago, they were the pinnacle. Now, they've fallen so far from grace that, my goodness, they're basically as good as a free antivirus, which is absolutely nothing. So do not use those 2 companies at all whatsoever.
What about Apple? Because they're constantly updating. And so I would think that their software would be impenetrable, and the look on your face tells me that is.
I love my Apple people. Oh, I love
I am an Apple person.
I love you.
Everything is Apple.
Yes. Well, guess what? You're no longer safe either.
What are you saying? I just updated my.
Yep. And the days of Steve Jobs, the impenetrable Apple, are over. They are over. There is the one thing, though, that Apple is doing that I kind of like. Actually, I really kind of like, because it's doing a fantastic job, is Apple has their own antivirus in the background running.
Yes.
And that's been doing a pretty good job, but unfortunately, Apple's still getting hacked. And for the record, just so you don't feel left out or anything, I have an iPhone. I also have a Droid. So just because I am smashing Apple right now does not mean that, hey, I'm right there with you. I have an iPhone, so I'm right there with you. You know, it's just the days of Steve Jobs, and I really do miss him, because I tell you, whenever that guy was alive, you couldn't break Apple. It was impossible. He truly made it impenetrable. You could not break it. Tim Cook, great guy, great guy. But he needs to kind of step it up on his cyber side a little bit more, which I have noticed in the past 6 to 8 months. He definitely has brought more to the table because there was a lot more hacking going on with Apple products here as of late. So be aware, you're still vulnerable. Make sure you do your updates like you have been doing though. But you do have one thing going for you that the Windows people do not, is Apple has been making a very quick and serious stride to fix that problem as quickly as possible, because they still want it back to the Steve Jobs days. I don't blame them. I would too. So, just make sure you keep your stuff updated. And that is the best bit of advice I can give any Apple person and any Windows person. Although those of us in Windows world, yeah, those updates can kind of be a little issue too sometimes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
VPNs, can you talk about that?
Sure. ExpressVPN, one of the best ones out there. I use it. It's great. It really is. What that does is it allows you to mask your, how can I put this easy? Think of your home address, okay? And you don't want anybody to know what your home address is. So you, back in the old days of the yellow pages, okay, I just dated myself, whatever. Back in the old days of the yellow pages, whenever you could delist your number, delist your address, delist everything, well, think of a VPN as being able to do that, except for the digital world. Whenever you launch your VPN, that allows you to go through the web without any difficulties, and it's the best form of defense right now we have for hacking groups. I am so glad you brought that up. That was actually one of my topics I wanted to hit, but I knew I was running hard on time, and that's why I pulled back on it. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Is
So-
Nord NPN okay? Or
I haven't heard anything bad about it.
okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there are several different VPNs out there. And as far as I'm concerned, whatever VPN that you use, it's better than not having a VPN these days. So, Nord, if that works good for you, fantastic. We use Express ourselves, and it's been an absolute godsend for us. It really has been. Because we get hacked on a daily basis. Being an IT company, they try to get in all the time. Obviously, there's things in the way that seriously prevent them from getting in because we're an IT firm. And the last thing I want to have on my record is, oh yeah, Hammond IT got hacked. Yeah, that wouldn't look good. So that's why we're pretty much an impenetrable force.
We're using a lot of like Zoom and WebEx. Can these platforms be hacked?
Yes, and they already have been. They certainly have been. Both of those have definitely been hacked already. That was whenever the pandemic started. Zoom got hit real bad when the pandemic first started because, they were just a little company back then and they didn't have all their ducks in a row. And then, of course, whenever we had to work at home or stay at home, everybody was doing what they could do online and using Zoom to communicate back and forth. The problem was their infrastructure wasn't ready for that. Of course, who knew? So they definitely took a massive, massive hit. And WebEx, about a year prior to that, they took a pretty nasty hit their own self as well. And they've obviously overcome these challenges now. And they have definitely beefed up their security side because they had to. They didn't have a choice. I mean, especially as big as they are now. I mean, they have full-on, most powerful security you can think of out there. They actually they hire, oh, here's a kicker for you. Whenever a hacker, and it's very rare, very, very rare that a hacker gets caught. I mean, extremely rare. But whenever they do, they're given two choices. Go to jail, 3 hot meals a day in 1 cot, or you stay out of jail and you work for me, Uncle Sam. And that does happen. That certainly does happen. I can also tell you that the bigger, huge firms, like especially, let's take Amazon and Facebook, for instance, okay? They have actually been known to hire hackers, I'm not even kidding, in order to hack the hacker. So they do not play games. They really don't play games. And whenever you have that big of a company, you really cannot play games with that. I hope that answered your questions on that.
Yeah. I always worry because there's so many people and you wonder if your information is just being taken from you while you're having a conversation,
Always act as if it is being taken, and then be proactive instead of reactive. So always think of it that way, because whenever you're online, and so is everybody else, and so are the wrong people there too. So always act as if you are being taken and your data is being taken. So that's why we have to be proactive instead of reactive.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions? Okay.
You know, probably the one, and I imagine everybody else gets the same thing, but it's just like that. We'll get an email that says your McAfee has expired. We don't even have McAfee. I have micro now because I heard you talk at Illyria and I immediately changed. Anyway, so I get that email and it's like they want you to, looking at it, they want you to click on it, then they're going to get into your computer. Is that what they're doing every time?
You got it.
Okay.
That is 100% correct. And as you can see, well, this is how I do my notes, like so. Bullet points, all bullet points. So, yep, you bet. I do that all the time.
I've noticed, sorry, I have a question. I noticed nowadays we get text messages from numbers we don't know, and they do attachment. And that's also
Yes.
another thing is that you click on the attachment.
I ignore those. I don't even give them the time of day. I really don't even click on that at all.
It used to be just email. Nowadays they go into your text messages. So actually, as long as we are digital, we are connected. Everything is open out there.
And here's the beautiful thing about it. This is the Droid. This is an iPhone. You can get either WebRoot or Trem Micro mobile. So no matter what phone you have anymore, those antiviruses are also available for mobile devices for that exact reason right there. And that's why, yeah, if you see a weird text, don't open it. Don't. I mean, I got hit with, let's see here. I think there was one today that was, oh yes, the car insurance thing. Yeah, my car insurance is already good. We're good to go. Don't need you, don't need Progressive, don't need Allstate, don't need, no, I'm quite good, thank you. So yes, even I get hit with those. Do I open them? Absolutely not. Do we have any other questions? I am thoroughly enjoying
I
this.
have a quick question.
Yes.
When looking at purchasing an antivirus program for, personal computer, not for business, for at home, I know there's so many different levels that you can purchase, the basic, or you can go up to, double, triple the price. Would you say purchasing the basic one would be okay, or would you suggest going a little bit higher to get better security?
I always shoot for mid-range. At
Mid-range,
home,
okay.
mid-range. If you're at the office, high.
Okay. Thank you.
I never choose the basic because the basic is, well, it's basic. That's all it is. They're only doing basic stuff for you. That's it.
So when
Very
you
interesting.
get unwanted texts, should you delete them?
I do.
Yeah.
I sure do. Yep, you bet. And just because you open it does not mean that launches. You physically have to click on that link that's in that text message to cause a problem.
Okay.
I had one of my colleagues tell me about that one because and that was about 3 weeks ago. We had that conversation, and he was even telling me, get to delete it, you're fine. Just don't click on the thing. Don't click on the link in there. And I said, well, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose? He says, no, as long as you're not launching it. I mean, it's counterintuitive. I know it seems kind of weird that, yeah, you're still clicking on the text.
Right.
So you're still clicking on that text message. But as long as that link inside the text message is not clicked, then you're okay still.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.